Hello everybody, Andrew Casey at Hypersanitybooks. Today we're taking a look at Mr. Bean. I also argue with some writing tips. Less is more. I've done a video about Rowan Atkinson before, and I think there are a lot of good writing tips to the simplest form. And with Mr. Bean, there is the theory that he's an alien, though I just hold that as a grain of salt. However, after growing up over some years the way some people are, I think he's actually more normal than a lot of people out there in the real world. However, from some certain writing tips, I think with a scenario of a case study to Mr. Bean, there is a lot to learn from, and I think it can be effective for certain storytelling, especially if you're not using much dialogue. For now, we'll just get into it. Number 1. Common diagnosis. So with the diagnosis, these are just suggestions. They're not anything to take seriously, though with some understanding of different characterizations, it can help with some of your writing the more you understand the basis of a character. So yes, he would come under with ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder, with the way that he doesn't talk much, the way he doesn't interact with people within certain social norms, shows certain signs of autism. Also, ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. The way that he is a little bit more out there with certain activities that he does, different problem solving, there is a certain part where it goes past the social norms, and there are the two primary diagnoses, though there is another more specific diagnosis. Number 2, Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Disorder. Okay, so with this disorder, I've talked about it before when it comes to finance, say with Ebenezer Scrooge trying to build business investments and losing track of the goal of his fiancée Belle. It is a common thing that happens within high performance. With Mr. Bean, the interesting point with the obsessive-compulsive personality disorder is his problem-solving skills. Also, there's a lot of impracticality to a lot of his problem-solving, but that's part of the humour of the character and part of the point that makes him flawed, because there's a certain part where it's keeping his personality in check to the impractical ways of doing things, or the unique ways of problem solving that are somewhat insane and somewhat humorous. That's what keeps the show engaging. And I found through the years watching Mr. Bean, some of the different ways that he problem solved was something as simple as putting socks in your ears to not listen to someone laughing excessively, to doing the thing that he did with the car, with the seat on top. Now, with that point, Rowan Atkinson has even had a parade thrown for him to reenact that scene.
Good morning. Could I have a 99, please? Would that be possible? Oh, morning. Morning. Hello there. Hello. Fantastic. Good morning, everyone. Morning.
Number 3, the alien theory. The alien theory comes from the opening credits where he falls out of the sky. With that theory, it's not exactly that far-fetched. A common factor that I notice is it's the over-expressions of exaggerations within his facial expressions. And I think a lot of the storytelling and the body language with the exaggerations of his face also does make this theory seem more plausible. And yes, the other theory was from the movie Bean, the ultimate disaster movie, where the other guy's wife pointed out that there's a talk about aliens that are less creepy than him.
David, there are Martians who have been exiled from Mars for looking weird, who look less weird than this guy.
He has an original quality.
He goes today.
So again, the theory is somewhat supported, but it's not concrete. It's just a theory. And sometimes a theory like that can just make something more than what it is. And as humans, sometimes we do like to hold on to different theories to question things, or make it more than what it actually is. Is Mr. Bean an alien? I don't know. Sometimes the exaggerations of facial expressions could be part of the mental disorders, or it could just be that he hasn't quite learned how to fit in with society as such. It also supports with the alien theory as well, with a lot of the different norms of isolation. It's not necessarily such a bad thing for this poor man.
Mr. Bean, are you presently on any kind of medication?
Not that I know of. Bean.
Yes, okay, Dr. Bean. Well, you made it.
Number 4, recycled jokes. With the movie Bean, I liked the movie. There was a lot of humour within the film, and I also found it was a little bit more frustrating between one point, especially when I first watched it at a young age when it came out, where the jokes were recycled. And that also goes into the definition of insanity, doing the same thing expecting a different result. So I'm glad the turkey scene was taken out from the movie, because that was unique to the Christmas episode. So doing the same thing again, even though it was in the background of the dinner party, as a deleted scene, I'm glad it is deleted from the main film. Otherwise, it's the same thing. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Number 5, Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder and Teddy. With the disorder, OCD, a lot of people think it's just cleaning with the disorder. Not necessarily. The compulsives are things like you have a scratch that you just have to itch, you got to scratch. There are also just different things that you just must do. You look at Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory when his girlfriend Amy was trying to get him to not finish something like laying out dominoes, and then she knocks them all over. So he has to reset them up to knock them over to get that obsessive compulsive disorder for the fix to finish something. So with Mr. Bean, with Teddy, he has a lot of his compulsions that are influenced by Teddy. Teddy is something that helps him as a safety net to get through life. And it's no different from someone having a support blanket or even a pillow that they love. It's a certain thing to help you to function through the day. Or, in Mr. Bean's case, just different points of life. He can't go on holiday without Teddy. There's a lot of things where Teddy is still just as unique, but OCD comes into it in a different type of way to what we're familiar with what obsessive-compulsive disorder actually is. Number 6. Merry Christmas, Mr. Bean. This was my first episode of Mr. Bean that I watched, and it was with my grandma. From there, it led on to a different type of obsession. I enjoyed Mr. Bean, and with the Christmas episode, there was a lot of points within the episode that you can learn from your writing tips, especially when you think about theme-operated episodes. So if you are writing something with a Christmas theme, maybe check out Mr. Bean. More to the subject matter, when I was younger, come Christmas time, when I was 8 years old, a lot of children are being told the truth about Santa Claus. For me, my parents were telling me the truth about Mr. Bean, that he wasn't real, and it shattered me. Though, sometime later, I grew up and got over that, and I've enjoyed Mr. Bean since. There are some episodes that I think are a little bit too much, but most of it was just a bit of fun humour. I do want to point out with our Christmas episode, it's not just Mr. Bean who's flawed as a person, it's a lot of common mistakes that a lot of men would make. When she's pointing at the window and not saying what she wants, it is an easy misinterpretation to choose the picture over the ring. I'm just saying, I've made certain mistakes in life too when someone's not specific about what they want. Number 7. Simple formula. Every episode is split into 2 parts. Part 1 for the swimming episode starts off at the pool, followed by trying to leave the facility in his car. The next half of the episode is when he's trying to have lunch in the park, followed by the cinema. There is that little bit in between where he gets out of his car pretending it's a bike. Again, it's the problem solving, and it's only a small little portion of the story. But it's having the significant structure of location which helps keep his story engaging and following through. Number 8. Mr. Bean's girlfriend. She made several appearances within the episodes, and again, not much dialogue. she should be saying what she wants when it comes to the ring. Now, with the character, there was a certain point where there were certain character flaws or expectations. And one reason relationships don't work out is someone has expectations and then expectations not met, or perceive a relationship to what it should be to what it actually is. So I think the relationship between the two are a little bit too much like they're alike in a match made in heaven, and then there's a part where it's just a disaster because of a lack of communication. It's also not determining if they actually are together or not together. What do they want from each other? And I think some of the storytelling is already lined up for failure just because of that basic premise. Number 9, animated series. You may work on a book in one sort of format or a TV show and then work into something else within the creation. And I found the cartoon series, as much as I was outgrown Mr. Bean, I did enjoy watching the series with my niece and nephew. There was a certain interaction we had, laughing at some of the humour. Now, yes, some of the characterization, there's almost no words being used. A lot of it's a bit underdeveloped for the characters, with a lot of grunts and ums and ahs. Though, again, a lot of impracticality within the character and certain types of storytelling. And I think from one type of medium to another, hey, he's done well. On the whole subject of less is more, that I've talked about with Rowan Atkinson within a lot of writing tips, because he's got an idea of what his character is expected, and because Mr. Bean is the protagonist of the show, and within just about every single shot of the show, there's nothing without Mr. Bean being on camera all the time, it makes the show a lot easier to write. So you think about it, if your protagonist is in 95% of the story, then it may not be too hard to write a show, or transition from one medium to another. You may write books and then translate a book into a graphic novel, or write into a whole another type of system or comic books. There are a lot of potential to learn from what you do from one thing to another thing. But again, a lot of the simple format of Mr. Bean was still highly effective, even today. And it brings me to a final point.
My job is to sit and look at paintings.
Number 10, Diamond Play Button. I have to say congratulations, because this is awesome. And recently with doing this video, I'll leave a link to the channel at the end. And with Mr. Bean, yes, he has 33 million subscribers. That has so many videos that are uploaded, bulk episodes are re-uploaded all the time. There is so much of the episodes and content within his channel that it's all there and free to watch. So if you do feel like a bit more humour, check out Mr. Bean's channel at the end screen. Also, the other person who presented the play button to him, he has a video, I'll leave that at the end as well, where he inspired from one of the cartoon episodes to improve on one of the impractical things that Mr. Bean did to make something else more practical and somewhat impractical within his video. And I feel the two meeting, because YouTube organised that, is pretty cool. For now, that's it for today. Hit like, subscribe, comment. I hope some of the characterization tips do help with your writing, and I will be working on some more case study videos soon. But that's another story.
Et c'est moi que t'as voulu sauver tout à l'heure.
Oui. Oui.
Tu vas loin?
In Mr. Bean's holiday, the passport said Rowan Bean.